Welcome to Monday Morning Moments. I'm Mike Van Hoozer. Today I want to ask you a question, and the question is this: are you running on empty, or does it feel like you're running on empty? I think a lot of times we can take on so many things in a day, a week, a month, a year. We can take on new roles, but we don't stop to think about, do we have the capacity to take that on? And capacity is really the ability to learn, to do something and to grow into that, or the time to actually do that. And it's really important that we don't run on fumes, because we're not going to achieve our best performance in all aspects of life if we're running on empty and we have nothing to give to those roles and to those tasks that we're doing. So I want to offer you a few things on why creating capacity in our lives is really important, and a couple of steps on ways on how to do that. The first reason on why we need to create capacity in our lives is to rest. We need to be able to prioritize rest within the scope of a week, a day, a month, a year, those types of things. There have been times in my life where I felt like I've been running really hard and maybe accomplishing great things, but I'm tired. And I think we can't go through life being tired. We need to be able to give our best to each role that we take on and each task and each day that we take on. So creating capacity is really important to make sure that we're getting the proper rest in order to give our best to that day. I think another reason that we need to create capacity in our lives, and kind of that why it's so important, is to reflect. If we never have time to reflect on the things we're doing and the things we're learning in a week, we may be accomplishing great things, but we're not drawing insight from those things. And we've got to create capacity in our week and in the time in our schedule to be able to reflect on the week. What are we grateful for? What were the big wins in that day? What did we learn this week? And how can we apply that to next week or the next day? So reflecting is really important, and we need to create capacity for reflecting on certain things. Sometimes we need to refocus. We may be in the midst of trying to accomplish a goal, and we've got to refocus our time, our effort, the process we're trying to work towards in that goal, and refocus on what's most important. And creating capacity to refocus is really important. Maybe it's getting away, and we just took a trip to Colorado. It was probably one of the best family vacations that we've had, and it was a great time to refocus on what's most important, especially at the halfway mark of the year. So creating capacity is really important, because there are times in our lives when we know something's wrong, and that opportunity to refocus is so important. And then again, another reason to create capacity in our lives is to recharge. We talked about making sure that we refocus, that we have time to rest, but recharging is really important too. We may create capacity to do things that are going to allow us to just really recharge in our lives, to get that extra passion around certain things, or to get that extra motivation or extra energy to accomplish the goals that we've set out to accomplish, to be our best in the roles that we've set out to do and that we've said yes to as well. So those are some reasons to actually create capacity in our lives, to rest, to recharge, to reflect, and to refocus. But here's how to do that. And here's a couple of ways that I found that work for me and how to do that. And one way is in your daily and weekly schedule. So creating capacity in your daily and weekly schedule. Are you the type of person that fills up your schedule with so many things, and it's a full day, but it's not a fulfilling day? And we want to make sure that we're not just living a very full life. We want to make sure that we're living a fulfilling life, and that we're making the right kind of impact in everything that we take on. And it's so easy today in this hybrid kind of work world that we live in, where we're present in meetings physically, but also virtually, that we just pack our day with stuff, but we never get anything accomplished. And so make sure as you approach this week and your days in this week that you're creating capacity in your daily and weekly schedule to do those things that are most important. You may just create time to think about strategy, or to rest, or to take a walk, or to refocus on certain things. Schedule that into your day, and make sure that you don't have just a jam-packed day going on, but you have capacity in your daily and weekly schedule. It's really important too that you may not fill every single second of this week with things that you're supposed to do, because there may be things that come up that you need to take on, and creating that capacity in your daily or weekly schedule, you can actually take on those new things or those new roles, or that emergency comes up, or the time that a friend needs to talk to you about something, but you have capacity in your daily and weekly schedule to do that. Another way that I wrote down is in your life, to create capacity in your life. And this really has to deal with the roles that you take on. Have you taken on too many roles? Do you need to say no to some things and yes to certain things as well? And this time of year is a good time to take stock and kind of, what have I said yes to, and what do I need to say no to? And maybe there's certain roles that it's just not the best time of life to really embrace that role and to engage in that role. And so think about that. And if somebody asks you to take on something new, maybe you need to say no to that so you can say yes to the most important roles that you play in life. But in your life, you need to create capacity. And it doesn't mean that you need to be all things to all people, but be the best version of yourself to the people who need you most. Another thing I wrote down is in your routine. So a lot of times we don't create capacity in our routine to take on new things because we don't have a routine, or our routine is just transactional and it's not transformational. Make sure in your daily routine that everything has a purpose, and that if in that morning routine or your daily routine of the way you do things, if there's something that needs to be taken out because it's just something that you've always done, but it doesn't put you in the best frame of mind or put you in the best purposeful state to take on that day, then maybe you need to evaluate what that routine is and take some of those transactional things out so that you can have the best routine to be able to then take on the day, to win the day, and to make the most impact with your day and to create moments that matter, as we always talk about. But in your routine, in your daily routine and the routine of life, make sure that you're creating capacity in that to be the best version of yourself. And then a final thing is in your year. I think just as you think about this year, make sure that you create capacity. Don't have to fill every single quarter with certain things. And it doesn't mean that you take a quarter off or take a month off or even take a day off. Maybe you need to take a day off. But creating capacity in your year is really important. Don't just, again, fill it with all kinds of things, but create capacity for new things. Maybe it's opportunities to take a family vacation or a weekend retreat with your spouse or with your family that you hadn't even planned for, but because you had created capacity and every weekend wasn't full for the whole year, you were able to take on something new and to do something new, or create capacity so that you can just maybe rest and reflect on certain weekends, or take a mini sabbatical that you need to take. But whatever that might be, create capacity in your year so that you don't fill it up with all kinds of things, but that there's space in there to adapt, to change, and to take on new things. And that's what creating capacity is all about. Again, that we don't fill every second of the day with certain things or every second of the year, but that we make sure that there's capacity to take on new things, to grow, to learn, and to accomplish the things that mean the most to us, and that we've set out and definitely said, I'm giving 100% to this, and yes, I'm fully engaged in this. Create capacity so that you're not running on empty, trying to accomplish something that means the most, but you have the least to give to that. So I hope this is helpful today. I hope that you'll think about the things that you're doing this week and create capacity for you to be the best version of yourself to everybody who means the most to you, and to the task and to the roles that are most important to you as well. And as always, make the most of the moments in your life.